Okay, so today I'm gonna talk about Cranes in the Sky because this song is very special to me for many reasons that I'm gonna kind of talk about today. So, the first time I heard Cranes in the Sky, I honestly didn't know what the fuck it meant, but I cried. And I'm like, why am I crying? Like, I couldn't really understand why I had this emotional connection to the song. Of course I understood like, oh, I tried to run it away, ran my credit card bill up. I tried to work it away, tried to sex it away. Like I understood that, but I felt like it was an incomplete song. Just because I was like, well, how the hell did she get over it? And I think, is what I was trying to gather within myself what it was. Like, what is that it? Because I felt that it within myself. In the song, she's talking about it, but I couldn't get it. So I felt like it was incomplete at that time. And I want to mention a quote that is really sticking out to me. It's my quote. Um, Life teaches you lessons so sweet, only time can ripen, right? And I'm 30 now. I don't remember necessarily when the song came out, but I had to go through so much life to get to this point of understanding and sitting with that song and understanding what it really meant, and also understanding what Solange meant, or what I interpret her to mean by sometimes I don't want to feel those meadow skies. So, what I've come to realize, at least from my own interpretation, is Cranes in the Sky represents energy shifts. And it took 3 years ago for me to understand that. So obviously I have a few things that I'm gonna talk about how I got to my state of understanding. So around this time that this song came out, I was suffering with so much anxiety. And I don't want to use the word depression because it wasn't depression, but there was a sense of sadness in me that was deep. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't reach her yet. I couldn't bring it out of me. It's not like if somebody would have mentioned something, I would have started crying. I didn't know what it was, but even if it was the best day of my life, there was still something in me that I was like, I don't know why I still feel a little sad. I didn't understand it, right? So, and I also had crippling anxiety, like not necessarily public speaking or stuff like that, but I just had anxiety about worldly issues, credits. Oh my God, this time I was working like 3 jobs, just all over the place, moving. I didn't, at this point in my life, there was no moment where I was just at ease or I was flowing with life. I was actually going through life with force. So I went to an acupuncturist just because I was like, okay, I don't want to be on medication for anxiety. I don't want to be diagnosed with depression. I really want to try to figure out the root of this problem. And I have been doing a lot of like research on holistic, things, whatever practices. And I came across acupuncture, which was interesting. I heard of it, I've seen it with the needles, but I didn't really understand it. But the thing is, I'm the type of person that I don't really care. Like I really enjoy trying new things, especially if it's new ways of wellness. So I went to the acupuncturist, and I went in there thinking that it was going to be like a traditional doctor, and I'm telling her my issues and she's going to diagnose me, give me a tea, give me an elixir, give me a tincture, and let me go on about my day. No, girl. She told me off the rip after looking at my tongue and, listening for me for a little bit, different tests, that what I had was a blocked chi. So I'll put the definition of chi somewhere up here or whatever, but I started to do my own research on chi. And in that first appointment, one thing that they will have you do at an acupuncturist is after they stick the needles in you, you're to meditate and sit in, at least the lady that I went to, she played high frequency sounds and had me meditate for a full hour. That was my first time, y'all. I'm saying y'all like I got a crowd. That was my first time sitting with myself and actually being in silence for a long time. I always thought of meditation as this thing that I just couldn't get into because I was just like, okay, why would I sit here and be in silence if I'm gonna be flooded with all these thoughts? But I had the wrong idea on meditation. And again, it really comes from ignorance. When you don't really understand something, you write it off instead of, doing your own research on it. And the thing is, when you have a blocked chi, that's when you experience things like irritability, anxiety, depression, mood swings, or at least this is what the ancient Chinese belief, and that is the whole practice of acupuncture. So I had to understand, well, at least this was my first time recognizing that I had these feelings and I became conscious of them. And I started to understand, relate chi to emotional blockages in therapy and what an emotional blockage actually is. But the interesting thing about chi is when you have blocked chi, that'll also manifest into the physical because energy cannot die, it can just multiply. So manifesting into the physical looks like hunger. So, weight gain, overeating. You feel like you're hungry, but really you're not creating. Or really you're bored, and instead of feeling that boredom and going through that emotional ascend after the boredom phase, you're just eating. And you're kind of eating your emotions in a way. Second thing is exhaustion, avoiding, and overworking. So I remember a time where I was working like 3 jobs at a time to pay my credit card bills. Again, my head is spinning about it. Like the first time I heard this song, my head is spinning. So boom, I had all these credit card bills. Boom, I'm working 3 jobs. Boom, I'm moving. I'm thinking I'm moving, thinking I'm crawling myself up out this hole or whatever. But it's like, really, I wasn't doing anything at all. I was just spinning around in a circle. And another thing that it manifests to, like your chi, if your chi is blocked, it'll manifest into consuming and buying, over-consuming, vices, things like that. I was in so much credit card debt, and I had to realize I was the cause of my own demise in that. I had an issue where I couldn't even go into a store without wanting to buy something. When I talk about vices, sex, greed, or gambling, I don't have those issues, but this is what blocked chi can look like, right? So with all of this new information, I related it back to emotional blockages in therapy. And I was like, okay, with all this information, what the hell am I going to do with it, right? And again, throughout this process of when this song first came out up until 3 years ago, I was still always on the search of meaning and trying to search what Solange meant in this song, right? So after going through acupuncture for a few times, I started to lean in heavy on shadow work. And shadow work exposed me to my emotional blockages and the whys of why my chi was stuck in the first place. And if you've never done shadow work, and I'm going to do another video on shadow work, but if you've never done shadow work, it is one of the most transformative experiences because it's like all of these emotions that you've suppressed become so apparent to you because you have gained this level of consciousness within yourself that you start to become aware of your own loop patterns, and you start to become aware that, hey, I'm allowing this person in my life for a reason. What is it? Is it because I have mommy issues, daddy issues? Is it because I have people pleasing issues? Whatever, though, like certain things will come up and you'll feel like a fool, honestly, that it took you this long, or at least for me, I felt like a fool that it took me so long to understand my loop cycles and where I was stuck at. And ultimately, it helped me understand the song. After all of these years, it helped me understand all I was going through was energy shifts. Whether it was me overeating, whether it was me putting my energy into people or guys I had no business putting them into, whether me running up my credit card, overbuying, all of these things, all of the stress, it was me trying to transfer the energy elsewhere instead of me sitting with myself finally and letting myself feel the feels, right? And Solange, when she said, sometimes I don't want to feel those metal skies, I think sometimes our ego self can get in the way and our ego does not want to die, right? So it doesn't want us to have moments to sit with ourselves and actually let a lot of feelings come up. It doesn't want us to free up that time to feel boredom. So we can think for the first time and hear ourselves for the first time. So years later, I'm at a point now at 30 where that song is one of the most beautiful songs that I've ever heard thus far. And it has been one of those songs that has had me thinking for a long time. And going back to the quote that I said, life teaches you lessons so sweet, only time can ripen.